Hi there, everyone. My name is Fitzraven. I'm a leadership and life coach, and I'd like to share with you today a fascinating insight that has been showing up quite a bit in my work with people, with leaders, with deep people, with creatives in the last few months. So, one of the things that I noticed is very often people who I'm working with, or even people who are having initial conversations with me, they will talk a lot. I may ask a question or offer them a prompt, and then they will speak for a long time, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I will not interrupt them. Occasionally, I might interrupt them, but usually I will not interrupt them. I will listen and listen and listen and absorb and absorb and absorb and receive, right? Almost like think of the soil and you're just pouring water into the soil, and the soil is just absorbing it, right? So I'm receiving and absorbing what they're sharing deep, deep, deep into me, totally present, totally with them. Usually I'm absorbing it into my body and less into my mind. It's almost as if the left brain, the ego mind, the sequential processing is kind of listening in on the conversation. But really, my whole being is absorbing and receiving what this person is sharing, who they're being and they're sharing, what's going on in between the lines. It's like a very full body experience. Now, oftentimes, at the end, when they're done, they'll say something like, "Oh, I just rambled. I just went on and on and on. I'm so sorry about that. Did I answer your question?" They might react something like that. Or sometimes it'll be even more extreme and they'll be like, "Man, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I just talked the whole time and really I wanted to get coaching by you and I wanted to hear what you had to say and I did it again. I don't know why I do that." Almost with like a sense of shame and um, condemnation, judgment of themselves, like, did it again, something like that. Um, these kinds of it's almost like they're in a zone, they're in a flow when they're speaking. Something very profound is happening. I'm receiving that, I'm present to that, and yet at the end, it's like an about face. It's like when they come out of that speaking, when they come out of that mode where they've been thinking and speaking, all of a sudden it's as if they become aware of protocol, or they become aware of what's socially appropriate, or they become aware of something extraneous, something from the outside, something from their mind more than from their heart. And they feel apologetic or ashamed or uncomfortable, and they'll even say as much. And this is something very, very interesting that I've noticed. Now, back in the day, years ago, I'd kind of, let's say they said, "Oh, I'm so sorry," I talked to someone, I'd be like, "No, no, it's okay." But I kind of like I saw it as my job to just like reassure them that even though, almost as if like, even though really it was strange, and even though really, I'm the coach and I've got what to say, but it's okay. It's okay, like just to try to help them feel at ease, like a consolation prize, right? Like I don't want them feeling uncomfortable, and at the end of the day, they're in charge of the session. So as a consolation prize, just try to relieve them of any shame. But inwardly, I was still kind of secretly believe that, yeah, I mean, darn straight, like, you did come here to have a conversation with me, didn't you? Not just to have a conversation with yourself. So secretly, I would kind of be aligned with that place in them that gave rise to their apology or their shame or their self-judgment, or that not useful self-awareness. But I would outwardly be polite and be nice and try to reassure them. But over the years, I began to realize like something feels misaligned over here. Something just feels misaligned. Something very strange is occurring over here. Here they are speaking some of the most profound insights that they ever speak with anyone. As a matter of fact, rarely do people have a chance to speak what's on their mind without interruption for a nice long stretch of time. That could be 5 minutes or 50 minutes. very rarely in our regular social reality, and even within close friendships, do people have the opportunity to truly do a brain dump, to truly think aloud and articulate and feel and speak what is in them and what wants to be clarified and what wants to be crystallized without being interrupted, let alone with someone who's really a committed listener, to be holding a space for them to speak that into and for it to be received. It's very rare. And actually, it's a very profound experience, especially for people who are deep and creative and have a lot of going on in their inner world, feelings, thoughts, realizations, epiphanies, creative ideas. So there's something very profound occurring in their speaking, and I began to become really aware of this. And then I began to become more and more sensitive that the apology was just out of place. It was almost felt like they're apologizing for being themselves. They're apologizing for having their own inner wisdom. It didn't feel like it made much sense at all to me. Like, why are you apologizing? Well, the apology is elicited by a certain pretense, right? That if someone's coming for a session with me, if someone's coming to talk to me, if someone's coming to create something together with me, that they need me. They need my input. They need me to point out what's in their blind spot. They need me to guide them. That's the pretense, because that's how we're conditioned. We live in a culture where we're conditioned to believe that someone else has the answers. Someone else really knows. This just by nature, like naturally, we just assume that. So there's this subtext, right? This unspoken assumption, this pretense that if they're coming to me, it's because they don't have the answers, they need mine. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. That is the furthest thing from the truth. People have so much wisdom. People have so much intuition, so much inner knowing. The Talmud says, the inner workings, the molecular structure of a person's heart can never be written. There are nuances and sensitivities and awarenesses that are so radically subjective that only the person knows of them, and no one else can weigh in on them. And there's a way people experience life and a way people know themselves and their reality that is so nuanced and so profound and so uniquely customized for them that the furthest thing from the truth is that it's a rule that someone else knows better. And so now this becomes a sacred space. It becomes a sacred space where there's nothing to apologize for, because we're not operating within the ordinary social protocol or politically correct protocol. We're going to a way deeper place where the presence of myself as a witness is really like literally like the soil that receives into it some seed and then from which something grows out of. It's so powerful for people to get to think aloud, to get to speak aloud, to get to organize their thoughts and feelings and dig deeper to a greater place of clarity in the presence of another human being, in the presence of a committed listener, in the presence of a witness. It allows for something that's not allowed for when a person is alone. It allows for something that doesn't get accessed in the same way when a person is just talking to themselves, even though that can also be transformative in its own way. So I began to really get that the creation is occurring, right, through this person speaking and thinking aloud and me being the recipient. And so it's through that creation occurs. It's through that a new clarity arises to the surface. It's through that a deeper inner knowing becomes, from the implicit emerges into the explicit, from the periphery into the central vision, and an alignment occurs, and a clarity occurs, and something profound is allowed for. So now people go on, and if they apologize, I say, please rescind that apology, because it creates a narrative that something else is supposed to happen here. Like Fitz knows, or Fitz has the answers, or Fitz is supposed to say something. And that undermines the power of what's possible through me not knowing anything and you having the answers and you having the inner knowing. And my presence catalyzes that clarity and allows for something profound to rise up into clear focus for you. So much so that I've asked people to really consider for themselves that even if they're spending a lot of money on the session with me, to consider the possibility that they are not paying for my wisdom or my insight or my input. They're paying for their next level of their own self. That's what we all want. We all want the fullness of our own potential to come into full bloom, to come into full expression. And very often that occurs through your speaking. It's a powerful, creative process. Speaking is not only blah, blah, blah. It's not only narration. When a person is speaking within the context of my work with people, it is a creative process. It's literally like someone who says, there's something behind that couch. And by the way, this metaphor just showed up for me spontaneously in session with someone, and I'm excited to share it with you. And so it's like someone says, I know there's something behind that couch that I need to get, like, something that I dropped over there. I don't know, a special coin or something important to me. I got to move this couch out of the way. But wait, I can't move this couch out. There's a big bookcase to the left of the couch, and it doesn't let me move the couch. And the bookcase is full of books. All right, so let me go empty out all the books from the shelf, and I'm going to need to put those books on the table. So stack by stack, I go to the shelf, I take the books out of the shelf, I put them on the table. Oh, I need a few extra chairs because the table doesn't have enough room on it for all the books. I got to bring some chairs from the other room. I bring some chairs from the other room. Eventually, I clear out all the books from the shelf. I'm able to move the shelf. And then now I can move the couch, and the couch is too heavy. So maybe you turn around and say, hey, Fitz, can you just lend me a hand and help me move this couch? And maybe I lean in a little bit and I help you move the couch. And then you're able to reach behind it and get that thing that you knew was there that you needed to get. And that's the metaphor. That's the metaphor. The metaphor is when people come into my office, when people come at the session with me and they're speaking, the context that I hold for their speaking is exactly like that. They are rearranging the furniture in their own being. They are moving things around in their own consciousness and in their own psyche because there's an inner knowing that there's some point of depth, of profundity, of essence, of potential that they need to get to. And they're the ones moving around the furniture. And it's empowering for them to do it on their own. And when they need some help, they can just ask, and I can just lend a little bit of a hand. But then it's theirs, and they get to own it. And there's a power that's released in them that's able to create and generate a new way of being in the world, new actions in the world, new results. So I'm excited to share this with you. And whoever's watching this, if sounds interesting to you, if this resonates, be in touch with me. I'd be happy to be in conversation with you and see what we could create together. Because this is where people go in the work with me. We go to the center of your being. We go to that deepest place of your own inner knowing to liberate it into self-expression, to liberate it from potential into actualization. Then it's powerful and it's a privilege. So thanks for watching this. I love you. If anything here speaks to you or resonates, be in touch. You can email me. I'll put it in the comments, how you can reach me. Be you. God bless you.